get a replay of what's happened. I suspect.
Well,
that's
Ryder Quinn ahead of him.
Oh, he's very wide at the entry phase of the corner. You could see there, that was a great shot that you saw the previous two cars coming through. They were a lot further, drivers right, over towards the apex of the circuit. And Jackson came around there and he just looked like he was probably about a car width too wide out towards the left-hand side. And he looks like he's got another great jump today. Can he fire it up the inside of Harry Jones? Yes, he does. Oh, that's massive. That is one of the BWT entries. We're just trying to work out whether or not it was Scott Pye or Fabian Coulthard. That looked like a carbon copy of exactly what Dale Wood's brother Glenn did when we rode on board. And this is on board with Matt Slavin. We were talking about how good a job he did in qualifying, but unfortunately in the race he's just overstepped the grip level limit. Oh, actually
he's taken a tyre off. Yeah. The clock ticking down to 0. Bailey Hall looking on the back of Glenwood, and that is Marcus Flack firing off the road. So that was the start of the recovery. Famous Giltrap family, mum and dad are here watching on today, looking to put a move on a guy that's been runner-up in this championship a couple of times. And Woody spun. He got it wrong on the exit of the corner, spun around. Giltrap collected him as he went through.
You can get wrong-footed really quickly. Curious to see. Oh, so that's Dale losing the rear of the car. And then there's a little tap there from Marco Giltrap, but...
Lights are on. Sunday morning in Taupo and Porsche Carrera Cup racing internationally, and Harry Jones stalls, blocks them collected in the back. Dean Cook firing across the road as well. David Russell in the mix after winning yesterday, and Ange Missouri sending it the long way round. New Zealand, right, let's unpick this. So Jones launched initially and then stalled, and it was Bloxham who got into Giltrap. So the Team Navy car from McElrea clipped the rear of Marco Giltrap's car. Oh, and it was such a close moment there for Bloxham to almost clear the 84 car of this on board from Marco.
So the stall from Marco, absolutely, and by that stage, massive impact from Bloxham. And it was Dean Cook that I was keeping an eye on there because I didn't see him on the original.
Tyre pressures they were guessing, roll stiffness they were guessing, even rear wing angle was all up in the air. So we go back and unpick this with Flack getting into the side of Nash Morris.
And Nash doing a really good job there just to hold the brake a long way to the outside of the corner for that slide. And here is a replay of what happened to Ryder Quinn. Harry Jones having a look down the inside and not getting the job done. You can just see how slick.
The thing is, there's a lot of supercar drivers I've noticed coming up and out of their garages having a look over the wall about those conditions. Obviously, they've got something really important to come up very soon. But again,
this is how that happened. Looking to put a move on Glenn Woods.
So I'll call that for how I see it, as I always do, Kralsey. So that's Missouri's having a look up the inside of Glenn Wood, but wearing very, very thin here, Kralsey.
He and Ryder Quinn had a little coming together. Off the road goes Flack. Watch the rejoin. So close to making contact with Harry Jones. Russell's already up a spot from the outside of the second row. Wood back one. Coulthard gets some ground in that BWT pink car, and there's dramas behind as Ryder Quinn and Tom McLennan get into each other in the braking zone.
There's two cars to his left. And just as he goes through, there it is, just that little bit of tap, and it doesn't take too much to turn the cars around when they're already on edge. And it sounded like he was trying to restart it, but it wouldn't restart.
It's actually a pretty good start for Ryder. Started 14th and it got 5 spots. So Glenwood and the Rambill car was down the inside of McLennan.
What, Giltrap just ran a little bit wide through 7. Here's a replay. That's what happened. Did it all on his own.
So that was... So Ange Mazuris and the 777 down the inside. Correction, Marcus Flack was down the inside behind, and that's Matt Belfort just having a lose all on his own. And then this was turn 1, so McLennan with the big dive on Flack and just couldn't get the car stopped. Just over an hour until supercars go racing in the top end again. And this was Lockie Bloxham wide at turn 6, off the road in the Team Navy car. They've had some guests from the Navy here hanging around the garage.
Which is Dale Wood.
I was chatting. Yeah, I was chatting to. Oh, that was close and gone. So a whack from Marco Giltrap, who's dropped a few spots. On the back of Nash Morris. Here it is.
He's just misjudged that braking mark. You see, have a little bit of a lock-up right at the end, just as they're about to make contact. He was just trying to pull the Porsche up, but couldn't do it.
And then this is further down the road. Bloxham on Jane.
He just ran wide. You can see there, Rodney just probably carried a little bit more speed into the braking zone and just ran about a half a car width wide, but you can see that
David Russell's got the hazards on there.
Oh,
so this is why. So David Russell, this is why we're looking at this, is D. Russ got it all wrong down at turn 1.
Harry Jones, a 7.9.
Just hearing from David Stewart. So just confirming there's 5 minutes to go. Motorsport Australia Race Control. Harrison Goodman just running wide at 5.
Sorry, getting back to the consistency.
Program in the Bob Jane T-Mart's car. And this will help explain it. And it's Glenwood down the inside. Oh, now that is one for upstairs for Craig Baird to go and unpick, I think, post-race.
Well, you can see there, Woody just goes up the inside, but he hits the inside curb right there and actually bounces him into the side of Ange Mazuris, which then, unfortunately for Ange,
just looking for that one weekend where it all gels like it did last year. It's Surfers Paradise, off and at high speed. And into the tyres, Jackson Walls. So whatever was ailing the number 11 car has finally bitten him.
I got a sneaky suspicion that right rear tyre has gone flat.
At Queensland Raceway last week, driving your supercar in a test evaluation over 888. Wow. So it's 245 k's an hour on approach to turn 1. And they just lift and down change from 6th to 5th and then turn the car in. The gravel trap does its job down there. So the deflating tyre, so it's taken all the weight off that front, which is why it was locking. And we have gone to safety car, and with a minute to go, this race will finish behind the safety car.
The screen there that was having his own spin.
Oh, so that was Matt Slavin who had the right front Michelin locked up and sent it off to the escape road, and spinning was Dean Cook in the 22 car, the Dixon Racing entry, teammate to Dylan O'Keefe, and this was Indira Patiachi at turn 4. This just happened in the Rentcorp forklifts car.
Doing such a great job in the races and qualifying and doing a great job holding Fabian Coulthard up.
Oh, off goes the Sonic 777 car, and that's Marcus Flack. We were talking about a potential new tyre advantage, and he's caught up with Nick McBride.
At the back, and then this is... Oh, this is the...
yeah, Marcus Flack and Nick McBride. So Nick has been talking all weekend about getting the rust out, and he felt like he finally got there in the Enduro race this morning, as he did his best lap of the race on lap 21 of a 45-minute race. So top of screen, what's happened with Dale Wood? Contact there with David Wall. 2 formation laps to get front tyre temperature, and this is Ryder Quinn. So this is what we saw with Harry Jones, except Harry caught it. He was a long way down to driver's left.
Note to everybody in the field, don't use the left-hand side of the road on the approach to turn 1.
Sage
you will
advice.
be in a world of trouble.
Sage, only one top 10 race finish since then. We'll find out what happens with the 777.
He's up on the exit curb there at the final corner. So you can see the blue and white painted curb there at the final 2 corners of the track. And Sumich,
no.
Is he going to make contact with the wall? No, but has he beached that up there? No. It looks like, I would say, given where...
Followed by another, so McLennan wide, Giltrap wide as well. And around Bailey Hall. Bailey spins and it bounces off the curb and was bounced into the air, and it checks up Nash Morris. Everyone squeezing through. Ryder Quinn's pointing in the wrong direction.
Basically 2 different starts going on. If you're on driver's right, advantage you. Driver's left, you're in a world of trouble. Ryder Quinn went around. McLennan just made very slight, there's a little bit of overlap between the 2 of them. Fabian giving Bailey a helping hand to rotate the 28 car. And then massive amounts of mud being sprayed around here. Bailey has no control of that car at this point, and he was always going to end up making his way back.
1:14.9 for Wolsey, who leads the way. Now this a little bit further back. Zach Best going down the inside of Harrison Goodman, and that contact side-by-side spins the EMA Motorsport car around. Zach making his Carrera Cup debut.
And just gather his thoughts, reset, calm it down a little bit. He's got a gap. He just needs to maintain that gap. Oh, and he's lost the front splitter as well, which is not going to help him in these cars.
Lean into turn 1 for the first time this weekend. Critical moment for the championship leader. Bailey Hall up some spots. Walls back in front of Coulthard. Around goes Glenwood, and everyone evading.
Once they get to about 40 kilometres an hour, we call it the second phase, he just made a little bit of a gap on Dylan O'Keefe, and this is a replay of what happened to Glenwood. There is no worse feeling in motorsport than sitting broadside to the rest of the field as you can go nowhere off the start line. When we saw the live vision, and I called it, was that it looked like his right rear tyre just came off the curb incorrectly, stayed out on the grass. Man, it nearly turned out in a very bad way very quickly. Now, this will tell us the story of what has happened to Goodman. Oh, into the fence on the inside there. We've seen that happen many times before, haven't we?
Well, even this weekend, it's been a particularly tricky part. Dunlop Super 2 has seen a couple of cars find the fence there at Reed Park.
And there's two ways it can happen, mate. You either clip the inside wall on the driver's right there and it fires you hard to the outside as we ride on board with Harrison Goodman, and that's what he's done there. He's clipped that inside wall, spit you to the outside. Now, the one that you were referring to in Dunlop Super 2 was Kai Allen. He lost the rear on the entry, so he didn't clip that wall. And this is at real time, which always looks, sounds, feels worse than when it's in slow-mo. So that's a...
I wonder what happened there between those two. So Shaheen had jumped Flack in the battle for the Pro-Am class, the race within the Racing Carrera Cup, and we can tell you...
We'll put our Sherlock Holmes hat on here and determine that the two made very heavy contact with each other. So that was Flack on the inside, Shaheen on the outside. This will tell a bit more story. So I'm going to have to call it, and I won't be popular for this, but
I wonder if it involved his teammate. Now, the right rear on that car is not looking in the right direction. It's got a lot of toe in, and this will explain it. Oh, he's done it all on his own, Marcus. And quite hefty contact into the Repco sign there, right at the start of pit lane. Dale Wood in the connected spaces entry. Bailey Hall's got some ground as well, I think, with the green and black car. And Fabian Coulthard with a rocket ship start, up 3 spots already. Off the road is Stephen Grove, white car, yellow car is Matt.
And I did actually see a little bit of reflective something kick up, and there's the replay there. So that was Shaheen with Slavin, and then unfortunately Stephen Grove was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, that was awkward. Slavin just out on that exit curve and was trying to get back onto the road. Sam in the middle. But then they've put this program together under the stewardship of Matt Cook, who's come in as team principal. There's a big lock up there from one of the Sonic cars, the 999 of Ange Mazouris, and launches into the gravel trap. It got some air there. And that was David Russell going through, and this is Belford in the ID Group car for Melbourne Performance Centre. Big contact to the wall at the exit of the elbow.
Yeah, that's massive damage to that right rear, Kralsey, and a little bit of damage to the right contact into the Pizza Hut wall on the end of, on the exit of Forest Elbow.
280 kilometres an hour and a huge stop, and there's a bit of debris on the racetrack. So he's hit some debris and it's torn the front splitter off. So all of a sudden the front downforce, the grip that pushes the front of... This is what happened. So he had a big look down the inside of the connected spaces car of Dale Wood in front, got up on that curb on the inside. We've seen that here before 1,000 times. It's a big, big ripple strip there at Murray's. And there was only the slightest little bit of contact with Wood's car. Had a big go.
Totem pole, so we'll have a look and see what happens here for Sam. Oh, did he make contact with the left-hand side there? Absolutely. And it looks like it's just dragged to the car and made the rear of the car light as we ride on board with Sam here. So it's down around through the right-hander, dipper on the left. A little bit of contact there on the left-hand wall was all it took to drag the car around, make the rear light, and it spun.
Bailey Hall rips it through the curbs right in front of us, and on the rev limiter, he misses the wall by about 5 mil. As does Dale Wood behind him, the 777 of Flack.
There we go. So up in the air, and while the car is up in the air like that on 2 wheels, Harrison can turn the steering wheel as much as he absolutely likes, but the right front does not have enough grip in it to continue to rotate the car, and it will only ultimately end up in that fence.
Dad this morning about that, and he said, well, if that's the most excitement we get, bit of TV time, then we've had a good weekend. Unfortunately for Harrison, the tyres have done their work there on the right-hand side. Out of that impact as they absorb it, this at speed.
Yeah, it's that secondary hit there as well. You're right, tyres have absolutely done their job. Took a lot of the energy out.
Makes the apex of turn 2. No penalties to be applied there, which is a nice, refreshing change. Dale Wood down the inside, contact and up, launched into the air is Glenn Wood, the brother, and the Rambill car are still sorting themselves out. Now, this was a little bit further back. So Mazouris outside, Glenn Wood inside. Oh, just really awkward contact on the exit of the corner. The left front wheel of Angelo Mazouris. This from on board the 999.
You don't normally see cars ride up like that. So Mazuris is into the back of Dalewood, just giving him a little rub, which is pretty standard on an opening lap. And there we go, look at that. That is riding on board. That is exactly how Mazuris would have seen it. And this is on board with Fabian Coulthard now. So that is Glenn Wood up ahead. Oh, Fabian doing a great job. I thought he might have made light contact like that and they climb up on each other. It's usually when front and rear wheel come together.
Oh, wow.
This is something else that we missed in the background there.
So we saw the start of that with Marcus Flack and Marco Giltrap. They went side by side into the beach chicane. I reckon Rodney's hit this.
And then he's got to the back chicane and the rear wing hasn't done anything. Yeah, so it's just, oh man, we see heaps of people go through there and swipe the left side of the car. And you're right, Krause. He just doesn't have the downforce that he's used to on the rear of the car because the wing isn't, and then the rear of the car will slide around and he's ended up in the fence. So that is a double whammy for Rodney.
How destroyed is that wing mirror too, by the way? That's the telltale signs. The pink sort of matches the colour of the Monster Wheels logo from the tyre bundles at turn 2 and 3, and then crunch for curb strikes, and this right towards the end. Oh, little awkward moment.
Particularly with that right front locked up, and then he was susceptible to Jackson Walls up the inside. Jackson probably a little bit cheeky on that move, particularly when you're on the extreme. Whereas Jackson Walls looked like he just got a little bit of wheel spin, didn't get the bite that Dale Wood did. And that does tell the story. So, yeah, unfortunately for Sam Shaheen, he was on the inside there. This is on board with Rodney Jane.
So 2x2, 29 car field trying to work it out. It was on this day, 1994, that Michael Schumacher won the World Championship with an incident at that corner. Slightly different context, admittedly, but it's claimed Sam Shaheen, unfortunately, and he is fired up about it too. Qualified on the front row for race 2 tomorrow as well. So he's got good pace, blocks him from a long way back. It's a long way back and cannons into the side of David Russell. KOs the TechWorks Porsche. Ryder Quinn spins as well. And a personal best weekend comes to a stop at turn 9. Let's have another look at this.
Yeah, and this was the bit that I was saying was happening in slow-mo for me, Krause. As soon as you could see him just peeling off and aiming and darting towards driver's right-hand side there, it's just a telltale sign that he's missed the brake marker. There was no lock-up or anything going on there, so he was doing his absolute best to slow the car down, but man, that is heavy impact. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fair bit of chassis rail damage on that left front of Bloxham's car, and I just want to see, I can just got a little shot there of the D-Russ entry as well. Huge amount of damage on the right-hand side, and we've seen so many times this year, Harry Jones has been the dominant force, and he's led by such a margin.
Oh, he's got him!
He's gone into the back of Hall, turned him around, so the 4-car battle turns into a 3-car battle.
Here it is again. So Craig Baird, the driving standards boss. Oh man, it was the lightest of little touch.
But it's on the throttle, Krause. It's from the apex to the exit, and that, I would imagine race control will look at that and go, hang on a sec, you have the ability, Harry, to be backing out of the throttle there. It's your choice to stay hard into it. Right on board with Bailey Hall. Let's have a listen. So no contact there. Yeah, and they're well into the throttle at that point. They're well over 50%. And you can get away with that very early on at the start as well when you're 2x2. Now this fills in the blanks that we had, Krause, as to what happened to Fabian Coulthard. So who's that behind him that's just given him a little
absolutely owned it. Put his hand up, said, yep, I missed my braking marker. That was all on me. DeMauro gets that wrong, running in 3rd place.
What, a little bit of lap traffic coming into play here too.
Oh, of course there is for the last lap and the last few corners of this one.
Deal us in.
Wow. So he gets through. Bailey's going to go. He goes in the final corner. Contact between the two. He gets him in the final turn. Bailey Hall waited all race, and he breaks through for an Adelaide victory. What a race. Lap traffic played a role there. Oh, and Tom McLennan goes off from 15th place. Hasn't he delivered on that? And then this was further back. So Ryder Quinn was in front of that moment for Tom McLennan. That is. So the iron hand of justice is smashing down in the final race of the season.
And the contact from Ryder was on Marco Giltrap. So two young chargers coming together.
Which explains why Marco was involved in that contact down there, but not...
And this was the move, Dylan O'Keefe. Man, he was late. Look at that, Krause, from the extreme left-hand side. And we've got a battle going on as well on the right-hand bottom corner. Glenn Wood looking like he's going to get up the inside of Harry Jones. Gets the job done. Has to get the job done before the 150-metre mark on the approach to turn 8. Here is the replay of what happened in the big screen shot there, or the widescreen shot down at turn 9. And this is Rodney Jane and Mark Seeney.
With Bailey Hall and Mazuris in there, and this might help explain what's going on with Stephen Groves. So did that all on his own in front of Anthony DeMaro by the looks of it at the run on the exit of turn 4 up near Flinders Street. The battle's on in Porsche, Paynter, Dixon, Carrera Cup Australia. It is all going on. Getting alongside into turn 8 and getting the pass done before the commitment point here. The turn in, oh, they're in the fence. They're both in really hard. Harry Jones followed Glenwood in the wall. And that'll be the full stop on the season.
We'll have a look at the replay now. Let's have a look at it. So Harry very close behind him. There was no contact, but it was Glenwood just got up on that curb there. The rear of the car stepped out and he went in the fence, and unfortunately he took Harry Jones with him. He had nowhere to go and huge amount of damage to both cars. So there it is there. Actually looked like Glenwood made contact with the inside fence, not just the curb.
But Harry was really wide turning in as well, so he was sort of half a car width off the normal point where you'd be at the apex of the corner. This from the stationary camera.
My read on it is actually that Glenn turned in a little bit early, if anything. I think Harry was on the more traditional line, which is a late turn in there, and you can see almost a bit of a rubber line. Here we go here, so you see there.
So he's hit that curb of the fence on the inside.
Glenwood has turned in early, and because of that, he's made contact with the curb and the fence. Harry, unfortunately, nowhere to go, and the two of them end up in each other's accident.
It's almost like Glenn's turned in early and Harry a bit late, if anything. And they've had accidents at the same corner in a different sort of way, because Glenn's car's been bounced off that curb in the Armco on the inside. Harry was a car width wide. I don't know if there was an aero wash situation there, being so close to the 911 car in front.